Welcome to Religious Taboo. In this presentation, I will answer the question, why do atheists obsess or talk about God if they don't believe He exists? Firstly, we aren't mad at God, we don't want to become God, or we don't hate God. Nothing tragic has happened in my childhood, and I'm not mad that God is going to judge me. You could be Mormon, Catholic, Christian, Baptist, Jewish, Hindu, etc. All supernatural deity claims remain unproven, but if you want to accept one as true, that is your own business. However, when you start hacking heads off because your faith demands it, start declaring people inferior than you from some misconceived moral high ground, restrict advance in science meant to better all mankind, and declare laws based on this unproven supernatural deity to control those who don't believe as you do, then it becomes a topic bound for discussion. The problem is that flawed belief influences action and has serious consequences in some circumstances. It is better to live in a world where people seek out things that are true, because truth directly improves our lives. Not properly interrogating your own beliefs about what you know and how you know it leads to a world where people suffer needlessly. It is impossible for anyone to separate their beliefs, including religious, from how they behave politically. You can never tell a Christian not to use his or her religious beliefs as a foundation for voting. If you could tell a Christian to ignore it, you could never ever get compliance with it. That's why I dislike and even despise religion. They're affecting the way the majority of the people in my country vote, and it is a completely irrational and illogical way of observing the natural world. It shows up in significant ways that the fact we had to debate evolution, which has been peer-reviewed, genetically verified, and scientifically acclaimed in the United States, is a saddening testament. The fact that religious people are the single biggest opposition to gay marriage, and that we actually have to have legal battles to gain that right, is another travesty. The fact religious people had to squabble over the political ban of real sex education and dangerous abstinence-only sex education in schools is another. Their opposition to stem cell research is an utter emergency. Studying embryonic stem cells can be starkly groundbreaking in terms of medical advancement. We can understand on a more elaborate scale how cancer works and the vast majority of top-tier infectious diseases the world over. There is in no way these stem cells suffer any torment for being destroyed due to them being only 3 days old. This religiosity is correlated with the hobbling of scientific advancement, which is quite possibly the most dangerous threat to mankind. Wouldn't any rational person consider this topic for intellectual discourse? In so many ways, major and minor, religion wreaks its negative influence on American society. And whereas I might be able to argue facts and evidence with political beliefs, when it comes to religious people, they cannot be swayed. They merely give up their thinking to God. They claim, you must have faith, which is in all honesty a license to neglect thinking when there is insufficient rationality to believe a proposition. God knows best, they say. God works in mysterious ways, they say. Who am I to question God, they ask. How do you reason with people like this? How do you get through to people like this? It'd be one thing if God had any concrete evidence of existing, however, He doesn't. I'm fine with public religious celebrations or events, so long that they're not proselytizing, government-related, or advocating against the interests of other people on religious grounds. There's a pretty wide range of acceptable behavior, however, too often even that boundary is trespassed upon. We are against the concept of faith because it is important to think critically and be honest intellectually about what we've been told, but faith admonishes that. So, as previously stated, religion, especially when taught to children who are more susceptible to influence, is intrinsically harmful no matter how you slice it, and is the detriment of human advancement both politically and psychologically. There is a church every few blocks in my current community, which outnumber educational facilities and make up a vast majority of our society. These religious institutions are tax exempt, and its main foundational leaders often construct fancy buildings and drive fancy cars, while the parishioners are suffering in poverty. People come knocking on my door early Sunday mornings to talk about their so-called God and their so-called Bible and claim how corrupt I am as a human being. Annoying street preachers who stand on busy intersections, threatening bystanders with unimaginable torment if they don't submit to their religious dogmatism. These people are shoving their beliefs down the throats of every woman, man, and sadly every child to exclusively believe as they do. They aren't teaching anyone how to think, they are teaching everyone what to think. Wouldn't you agree that this type of behavior requires discussion? Being an elected official in the United States is an unachievable task, regardless of the candidate's stature and political achievements, if they don't profess a belief in primitive ancient mythological deities and manuscripts. The United States government is claimed to be a Christian nation and prioritize "In God We Trust" in political offices, on American currency, and defile our national anthem with "One Nation Under God." These politicians govern our society, and the morality ascribed to these Christian politicians wreaks havoc on my fundamental intuitions about the well-being of this country politically. This moral automaticity, in terms of being subscribed to Christianity, is staggering given the unethical contents of its holy book. It goes without saying that, according to Christian religiosity, your specific deity isolates thousands of starving children in Africa just to head over to your favorite football team's playoff game and supply some sort of supernatural beneficiary to their victory. There is a Bible in every hotel room drawer, half of which most Christians are ignorant of the contents and couldn't tell you who authored the book of Genesis. I can't help but to stand dumbfounded by the Muslims who are blowing themselves up, convinced that they will be rewarded with 72 virgins in a subsequent alternate realm of existence. I'm dumbstruck that Christians, such as yourself, abandon reality, which causes unnecessary anguish to society at large because of imaginary beings you profess to believe in. The sheer atrocities executed in the name of religion and intellectual crippling poised by its doctrine is the central reason to why I talk about a God I don't believe in. Religion is a superstitious and profound scientific failure. Religion was created to attempt at explaining the pandemonium in the natural world, wielding insufficient methods and foundations. We needed an explanation for our existence. We didn't understand germs, disease, or the cause in violent weather. As sentient beings endowed with cognition, we intrinsically seek to justify what we experience and speculate upon the explanation of that phenomenon. Due to our gargantuan misconception of the natural world and our temperament to understand causes of those implications, we very well conjured up observations which were illusory. As human intelligence and understanding of the natural world strengthened, we gradually observed a lesser need for religiosity in our continuum to provide insight for explanation. We have medicine, while currently incomplete, used for confidently combating illness and disease. We now see the need to disregard primitive recitations of consulting an exorcist in a church to engage illness because we assume demons infiltrated the patient's soul. We now have the science of meteorology to explain and even accurately predict weather patterns. Science is profoundly successful on the battleground for knowledge without a necessity for fanciful immortals hiding beyond the fabric of time and explanations relying on insufficient evidence. In conclusion, it's rather humorous how religious fundamentalists attempt at usurping logic, rationality, and common sense while actively undermining the entailment for all those things, facts and education. They attack evolution with strawman arguments like the tornado in the junkyard, demonstrating their ignorance of natural selection. They spin facts and sow doubt by engaging in logical fallacies, word salad, misdirection, and cognitive dissonance, all while having the audacity to claim logic and reasoning. Their religion is an ever-receding spectacle that fills the shrinking gaps in human scientific knowledge. Regardless of any scientific discovery that changes scientific understanding, it will never revert back to Bronze Age thinking with its bloodthirsty deities, talking snakes and donkeys, dragons, giants, unicorns, and the Garden of Eden. They need to try to think critically and challenge the brainwashing and/or indoctrination they received as a child. Once their mind is free from the chains of Bronze Age hocus pocus, they'll find reality and an actual universe filled with more wonder and beauty than can ever be accounted for by ancient mysticism and superstitions. Thanks for watching Religious Taboo. I'm getting close to 500 subscribers. I will have a religious t-shirt giveaway compliments of rationalist products. Have a look at their website for some comedic atheist and scientific gear. The winner will be contacted via the YouTube private message feature, or you can follow me on Twitter here. The winner will supply me with their email address so that I can obtain their name and shipping address. Before you go, have a look at some of my previous productions.